I recently got asked on stream what the most important thing for Splatoon 2 is, and it's positioning. Regardless of if you're brand new to the game or a high-level player, solo or team environment, this is super important, and today I'm going to explain why. Starburst wipes here, everyone but Ice dies, and Rose gets mid. And then they position really clumped like this. Now, a lot of people will see this and think this is, like, good, because everyone can pair with each other and such. But this isn't actually the positioning you want. You don't want 4 people in mid. And the reason you don't is because Splatoon 2's specials are all based around displacement. The closer you are clumped together as a team, the easier it is for these specials to get value. Like, I believe in this fight, yeah, Kai actually gets the pick first. But because everyone's clumped, the missiles trade it out. And then they lose ground. Ant gets over here. Ice gets set up on top here. They have Ant watching this kind of mid and helping right. Like, he can kind of help everyone. He's kind of mid-range. You have 2 people to watch the main entryway on the left side, and you have Ice guarding the right side. And what this does, with this positioning, is not only does it control more space, not only does it hold mid better. Like, if they missile, they kind of have to pick a target. They can't missile everyone. Same thing if they were to throw Booyah, etc. But the other thing is, because they have this much space, they force the other team into this clump position. So when they use missile, Booyah, etc., everyone's clumped into this tiny area, which means Starburst specials get more value. And that's how they end up specialing, setting up, bubbling, and getting to push in. You can use it to outplay specific weapons, like Charger. Like, a lot of people at a casual level think Charger is crazy. Like, if a Charger is just insane aim, there's nothing you can do. And that's wrong. The way you deal with Charger is by ignoring sightlines. If the Charger can't apply pressure, the rest of his team is in a constant 4v3. So what Starburst does is they set up down here, away from the Charger sites. So they try to play outside of Charger. Let's go to an individual example, like as a front line. Pretend I'm a T-Tech instead of a K-Shot, because this is a hybrid weapon, it's more complicated. If I want to, like, say we get a wipe and we want to set up, how strong our hold is very determined by where exactly I stand. And what a lot of, like, I've seen Rank X front lines do this all the time, where they'll stand, like, here, and they'll kind of shoot. And they'll be here and they shoot. And I don't know why they do this, because if you go here, your opponent just goes here, and they're just going to shoot you. Because they have high ground, they have more range, they have more paint, they have etc. So, think what's awkward for someone up here. Here's me trying to hit someone directly below me. See how I, like, literally can't? How awkward it is? So good front lanes will play directly under the ledge. They'll play in cover. Or if they're trying to push an area, like, they'll play near... Well, this is a bad example, because you hold your weapon on the left hand, but you would try to right peek, like if someone's down here. You would try to use objects to cover yourself. This is positioning it in the same sense. Like, where exactly you choose to stand. It's relevant for the specials, too. Like, if you split up as a K-Shot, like, if you're pushed up in this area and you have this area under control, and they want to missile your team and your team's all on the left side, then they can't missile you. They have to pick. So, if we are trying to push, and the team I scrimmed today actually had this example, and they had Wave set up over here. Like, Wave plays an E-leader. I'm not an E-leader, but pretend I'm an E-leader. And as an E-leader, you get to control, like, this entire left side, middle, etc. But what they did is they pushed all the way over here. So what I called to do, this side, just play the 4v3 on the left. Like, the E-leader can contest the zone, he can paint this area, I don't care. If the E-leader's here, his team's playing here, we play here, we play 4v3. That's how we'll win the game. So if you're positioning with the Charger, then 2 things that could be done better. Like, in a general sense. Which is 1, the team with the Charger should be playing with them. Or 2, the Charger should be moving. Like, to use Bless's team as an example, if they really want to push from this right side, then they should be trying to get the Charger here or getting the Charger over here. Because now they have to deal with the Charger laser that's going to force... If I want to deal with them pushing now, I have to play around this corner. Or I have to play down here. Like, where exactly we can stand becomes way more limited. Charger's, like, presence on the game isn't to do with its kills. Like, against good players, Charger isn't going to get a lot of kills. Because they're not going to peek Charger. It's, can the positioning of Charger force other people to fight more awkwardly? That's how Chara gets value. That's how you'll see, like, Starburst, and sometimes Ice will get, like, barely any kills, and you'll still be, like, the most important player in the match. Compared to, like, other chargers who will go for stupid aggressive stuff and then end up being completely unimpactful. Because it's not about the kills. It's about how you play around your team. And good chargers understand that. Brian does it too. Like, I think another good example is, if you see Schellendorf Institute, pretend this is like Zones or Tower and this glass isn't connected. What you'll see chargers do is you'll see them play Firefin and play super safe up top here. Because standing on either left or right side, like, if you're left, you get to control here, you get to control here. If you play on the right side, you get to control mid, and you get to control the right side. Okay? So it's super important for the charger to be here and to not die. Like, there was a match between Ice and Brian where I think both of them got, like, 4 kills, 6 bomb rush, like, the same KDs, and both of them put so much pressure on the entire match purely because they did not die and held their position. Like, they didn't let someone get back here. They controlled it so the flanks didn't happen. And that's super valuable. So even though the charger doesn't get picks, just having a charger here is annoying. Because if I'm, like, any other player on the team and I want to push down here and there's a charger, I have to, like, oh, I have to wait, I have to sit here, I have to wait for missile and armor, I have to sit behind this wall, I have to sit behind this wall, I have to waste bombs up here. I have to do all this shit because there's a charger up there. Why is QC useful for charger? I'll tell you. Pretend I'm a charger and I'm over here. I have Ray, the game-winning special, or I have Bomb Rush, and there's a flank. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm good now. There, that's why. That's why every weapon runs QSJ. Oh, I fucked up. Rather than waiting 10 seconds, I am simply gonna jump to spawn and keep all my special charge, and then keep my special. It's super relevant for chargers because chargers usually have game-winning specials. Backlines usually have specials that are, like, objective winners. Like, Ray is such a good backline special. So, let's talk supports, okay? Support positioning is actually probably the hardest positioning in the game. People don't want to say it because people think support's easy, and they're not right. Like, the value of support is active versus passive paint. It still depends on the positioning. So, if my team is in mid fighting the other team, this is active paint. Like, I'm painting where my front line's gonna go and push up, you know? Passive paint is like going behind and painting your base. Like, there's nobody here, but I'm just trying to get an armor. Supports will sometimes do this. But the problem with it is, like with chargers in a bad positioning, it kind of leaves your team in a 3v4. Now, this would be a lesson support players could learn better if the two main specials weren't global specials. But even then, like, once you get at a high enough level, you want the junior, or your Zap, to be doing things with its own armor. You don't want the junior to armor and then have to swim all the way and then fight. You want the junior to do things with the armor. So when you're painting up, you're providing turf for your front lines, which is really good. You're charging your special. And the other thing is passive paint will run out. Like, there's only so much paint in your base. And this is why Neo-Splooshes in solo that paint your spawn for missile religiously in your base are throwing the game. Because that paint is what you do in an emergency. Like, if you get wiped, and I jump back, I'm the junior, and oh god, their team's pushing, I gotta get an armor, and now I can't actively paint, I'm relying on having paint here to go and get my armor so we can real quick defend. And if some dumbass Neo-Sploosh has painted the entirety of spawn, instead of getting an armor and letting my team defend with it, we're now f***ing screwed! And this is also why stuff like Zap and H3 can often be seen as better than Junior. Because they have better painting range. And this is also why K52 is really extreme. Because good painting range means you can actively paint more safely. The thing about Junior is to active paint, you have to be pretty close to people. It makes up for this by having, like, really good mobility, but you have to paint close to other people. So you're inherently putting yourself at more risk. If you have a more mid-range shooter, you can paint from further away. Why the K52 buff was so drastic is because it let you paint further. So the K52 didn't have to put himself as much danger, and it also just throw a wall. So that's how it worked. Now, back to Junior. The other thing for supports about positioning is bombs. You use bombs to disrupt other people's positioning. Okay? If you're passive painting to spawn, you can't do that. Like, if you have a front who wants to push in, ideally you don't just want to armor for him. You want to paint ahead of where he's going, throw a bomb, Maybe you're going to pin around to bait their front line to push you. There's a bunch of different things you can be doing by existing in mid, because supports are a prime target. And that's the other thing that makes support hard. You are a prime target as a support player. Like, having that armor or valuable special is really, really important for your team. If you die first, your team loses that special. And it's also why, like, again, another thing I did in the scrim today on this same map is I went and I pushed a Zap player so he wouldn't run away and he would fight me. Because if I died as a Crapid, I lose a baller. Who cares? I didn't even have charge for it. If they lose an armor, they have to wait for that player to come back, and then that player has to build an armor. They take significantly longer to repush in. And that brings me to my final point about positioning that's important for every player, which is staggering. When you're defending against a good team, or even in good solo queue, you need specials to retake to move things like Charger. So why things like Inkja will be used early in specific positions is to stagger the support player, get them picked, so they have to wait for him to respawn, come back, farm an armor, and then they push in. Or they push with a 3v4. Every single concept I mentioned in this mini-talk is about positioning. Everything to do with the specials, to how you coordinate, to where people stand, to how you work together, is about positioning. That's why it's the most important concept in this game. If you can't position, everything else will fall apart. Positioning opens the door to being able to do everything else. So that's the talk.